the point we are at now, it seems that is the implementation of some of the resolutions reached, precisely the famous alert being expected by members of the National Association of Resident Doctors. Do you see that happening? Because we're expected to see that those alerts coming through today.
Well, I think there's a list of the demands, and I think that should happen. I think that will happen. Because
if you say that's the list of the demands,
of course,
does that suggest to, I mean, people watching now or keeping a very close eye on the developments in the health sector, if that's the list and it doesn't come through today, what does that spell?
Well, I mean, it only shows that Nigerians are in for a long-drawn crisis in the health sector. I mean, the crisis has been there anyway, but it's reaching a head now. And I believe that for the alerts, that maybe not today, but I'm sure the alert will come through. But I think for me and for most Nigerians, it's even the other critical issues that have been raised by the doctors about the conditions of work, about the lack of equipment, the understaffing. You know, people. I mean, doctors, nurses, and all of that have to overstretch themselves because sufficient hands are not available to work in the hospitals, you know, and so on and so forth. I think really that's the crux of the matter, and those are not issues that can be resolved overnight. But for the alerts, I believe that will be resolved.
You are a Labour leader, as a matter of fact, and one would have thought that as Labour, in as much as you're fighting this just cause, as seen by many, you also factor in the third party, this is the people, especially those that are in the hospital in a country like ours. They shouldn't be caught up in this strike. What do you think?
Yes, ordinarily, the health sector is supposed to be essential service. Supposed to be, it's not where you go on strike just for the fun of it. But when you look at the situation, you want to ask, when they are not on strike, what's happening? What's the state of the health sector? How functional is the health sector in Nigeria at all levels?
But people could die even now that the doctors are...
People are dying anyway.
No, they could die as a result of the strike.
The point is that even without the strike, given the gross limitations of the sector, people are dying anyway. That's the point. People are dying because the drugs are not there, because the equipment to work with are not there, because the staff are undermotivated, you know, overstretched and so on and so forth. So these are the issues. So it's got to go to a head at some point.
But shouldn't the doctors...
It's got to go to a point...
Shouldn't the doctors be concerned that perhaps during this strike, God forbid it, that somebody dies as a result of doctors not being there to attend to them? And you know that there's a law, of course, that permits the third parties, the patients in this case, in an event that any of them dies, to sue NARD.
I'm not aware of that law, but what I'm aware of is the fact that, as it were, Nigeria has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. You know, I would say the highest actually, because we are supposed to be second to India. But when you look at the population, you see that the absolute figures really cannot justifiably qualify India as being ahead of us. We are actually the worst performer in terms of maternal mortality. 50,000 women die every year because of poor facilities in the health centers to take care of pregnant women, you know. So what do you make of that? So every life is important. So even if it's only one person that died as a result of this strike, that would be extremely, I mean, that would be very unfortunate. But the point is that 50,000 women die every year. And that's official statistics. You can bet, I mean, those are figures coming from government hospitals. It doesn't factor in women that die in all these traditional birth attendants, traditional medical centers, and even in churches. It doesn't factor all of that. And that's a greater percentage. So the point I'm making is that people have been dying anyway. We got to address these issues. You know, it's beyond the doctors. It's actually about us. Should we have our health sector in this kind of shambles? Because it's in shambles. And that's why even our elite cannot use them, the best of them.
Let's talk to, let's get the views of the statement made by the Labour Minister, Chris Ngige, concerning the NARD strike and how far they've been able to resolve the issues to this point.
This meeting agreed that the NARD national officers are to present the outcome of this renegotiated memorandum of terms of settlement to an emergency meeting of its members by Friday, September 8, 2017, with a view to suspending the strike once there is evidence of payment of the mandate earlier presented to this meeting to the affected institutions. Finally, we also agreed, as item number 9, that no member of NARD will be victimized as a result of his participation in this strike. We expect that payments should be made to the affected Federal Tertiary Health Institution on or before Friday, September 8, 2017.
That's the Minister for Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. We're going to visit the responses that we'll get from my guest here as soon as we return from this break. You're watching State of the Nation. We'll be back after these messages. Stay with us.